And so with the next quick win, I have talked with Roddy a few times, and I cannot believe how simple Spently's tool is and how powerful that changing your Shopify notification emails can really be. I mean, it's a game changer on, your repeat purchase rate, your average order value essentially goes up, and all of the good metrics, and it takes not very much time at all. I will let Roddy explain Shopify notification emails and the whole thing. Everyone give it up for Roddy Smith from Spently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek. It's a pleasure to be on here today. I was curious if you put me up after Ben, as he talks about email marketing, and then you bring me on to talk about emails. So I was wondering if that was a purposeful tete-a-tete, but not all emails are created equal. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. So without further ado, let me flick on the screen share here. There we go. So we should be able to see that now. So first, again, thank you so much for having me on today, Derek. I greatly appreciate it. My name is Roddy Smith. I am the Senior Growth Specialist with Spently. And what is Spently? I hear you asking. Basically, Spently is an app that works with Shopify stores to increase customer lifetime value and maximize customer engagement through your most opened emails. And these are an often overlooked or almost hidden sales channel. I've been working in the e-commerce space for the last 4 years now, and I found that I really like finding and working with these hidden sales channels. And they can end up being some pretty juicy, low-hanging fruit. When I first met Vincent and Nicholas, the founders of Spently, at a Shopify conference in San Francisco, they explained what Spently does, and I realized that this was 100% low-hanging fruit, that the vast majority of merchants just weren't picking. And at the time, they were sort of really fine-tuning the development of Spently. And when they reached out to me a couple of years later to help Spently grow, I jumped at the opportunity to focus on Shopify, the ecosystem, and a product that genuinely helps merchants. So today, I'm going to cover off two main things: your transactional emails, and then after that, I'm going to talk about your follow-up emails. The main thing that we want to look at is how we can improve engagement through these emails that you're already sending. Your transactional emails, store notifications, store emails, event-based emails, whatever we want to call them, just don't call them newsletters or email blasts. As mentioned before, not all emails are created equal, and these transactional emails are 100% that case. But before I sort of dive into the rest of my little spiel here, I want to run like a quick little rhetorical poll to get you all thinking about this. How many of you have looked at these transactional emails that Shopify is currently sending out on your behalf at this moment? I'm willing to bet a few of you are scratching your head at the moment, but don't worry, I'm going to go through them and let's talk about them. So there are 15 total transactional emails that Shopify is currently automatically sending on your behalf right now. These emails have ridiculous open rates. I mean, from uniques to total open rate, we see multiple opens as shoppers are going to check to make sure they use the right credit card. They're going to pop back in to check to make sure that they got that discount applied. Then they will potentially pop back in to make sure they got the right shipping address, maybe even going to check size, or maybe to show a friend or partner. And if you're not looking at these, or you're using the Shopify default templates, then you are missing out on this very low-hanging fruit and a really key chance to drive repeat sales. I generally don't sign up to newsletters, but I will save these transactional emails. I have a little folder called Costanza. If there's any Seinfeld fans out there, they all get slotted into there. And if I'm happy with the product and I want to reorder, I generally go back to look at that one. So There are 15 of them. I'll quickly run through them right now. We've got 7 order notifications. The first one and the biggest heavy hitter is the order confirmation. I don't know if this is just me, but I am still skeptical of the internet. And as soon as I've ordered something, I immediately go check my email to see that order confirmation. I want to make sure that it went through and my money hasn't disappeared into the ether. Order canceled and order refunded, these are generally seen as negative emails. However, they don't have to be. I've seen merchants using Spently turn these emails into positive situations, and they're a really effective way, particularly if your shopper has had a good customer service experience. And if we pop in some recommended products or maybe a discount code in there, we can take that money that we've given back to them and get it back into your store again. Draft order invoice, let's make this look like your website. They've called you up, they want to talk to you, whether you're selling through wholesale or they've contacted you directly. Let's make it match your brand, match how your website looks. Abandoned checkout, I don't think I need to go into exhaustive detail on this one. If you aren't doing anything with it, please do. POS receipt, this is a great one. So whether you are running a brick and mortar store, or you maybe set up at a fair or a market or a pop-up shop, whatever it may be, how can we take that foot traffic and turn it into online traffic? And then gift card created similar to your draft order invoice. Let's ensure that it matches your brand and someone's interested enough in your product to purchase it for somebody else. So let's make sure it matches. We then have the 4 shipping notifications. I have 0 patience when it comes to purchasing something online. And I therefore check that shipping confirmation, that shipping update, that shipment out for delivery, and that shipment delivered probably too many times. And I practically track every single step that the postman or woman is taking to deliver the product to my house. We see huge open rates on these guys. And again, it's just a really effective way to drive people back into your site. We then have 4 customer notifications. Account invite is one that you send to the shopper to make the checkout process easier. What better way to show some recommended products than someone who's already interested in your product? Account welcome is one when they create it that Shopify sends automatically. If they're interested enough in your brand to create an account to speed up that checkout process, pop some products in there, make it match your website, and then maybe a discount code, or that could be the push that you need to get them to purchase again. Password reset, I love this one because I've seen people use really creative copy in there. I forget my passwords all the time because I think of a new one that I think I'll never forget and then proceed to forget it. So make that match your brand's voice. Branding is key, as we saw with Big Ass Fans earlier. And then the contact customer one, this one gets used quite regularly just to reach out to your customers for any exceptions or whatever it may be. We saw this one used really heavily when we're north of the border up in Toronto and Canada Post went on strike, and we saw this one used all the time when there were exceptions to delivery and whatnot because of the post strike. And by making all of these look the same, you're just creating a really nice continuous shopper journey. So I talked about the ridiculous open rates that we see with these emails. And I have stats to back all of this up, but I thought I'd throw in a third party in here so you don't think that I'm making these up. If you would like this article as well, I'm happy to share it. But according to Experian, your order confirmation open rate is 114.3%. That is insane. Email marketing, you don't see those stats. It just doesn't happen. Your newsletters, if you're sending those out, you're looking at about a 12.5% open rate. If you're getting 20% on your newsletters, then you should pat yourself on the back. In terms of click rates for your order confirmation, we're talking about 14.4%, and I see those even higher with lots of our merchants. As opposed to newsletters, you're only seeing 3.1%. So 10 times the open rate, 5 times the click rate, 6 times more ROI. That's crazy. But first, in case you were scratching your head when you were wondering what your Shopify default order confirmation template looks like, this is it here. So this is for my demo store. As you can see, doesn't really pop out at you. You know, it works. It does the trick. It says what they purchased. It says your shipping address. It says your billing address. You know, the sort of nuts and bolts of it. It works in the same way that maybe duct taping cardboard to your feet works as shoes. It lacks branding, doesn't match the theme or any of the colors or the font of your website, doesn't have any social links in there. I mean, we know brands have been built on Facebook and Instagram, and more importantly, you're not taking advantage of this captive audience that you have with these emails. It doesn't have any marketing components in it. The other thing that's huge on this, there's only 2 clickable links. You can view your order or you can visit your store. I'm willing to bet none of you are sending out a newsletter that only has 2 clickable links in it. So there's just a lot that can be done with these emails, particularly given that we have this crazy captive audience. So what's the secret sauce? How can we leverage this captive audience's engagement to drive revenue through your store notifications? Oops, I went off the screen there. Technical difficulties, sorry. Obviously, with Spently, and that's why I'm here. We have plug-in marketing components to include product recommendations, include unique discount codes, include social links, navigation bar, referrals in there, and we do all of this with the Spently Builder. So, this is a new and improved Spently template. This is from our friends over at LeatherUp, who we did a case study with not too long ago. In their first couple months of using Spently, they saw 160K in revenue in 2 months. They saw 4 times more engagement through these emails, and mainly because they were looking for something, they were looking for a tool to take advantage of this. They already knew about it, but they wanted to find someone to help us, and in comes Spently. So as you can see at the bottom there, we've got product recommendations. There's a few different ways that we can do this. One is the Spently recommended products, where we create a unique hidden collection, Shopify's backend. It's going to just populate it with your most popular products, and it will never show a product that they've just purchased. You can create rules around it. The most common one I see has to do with inventory. So if inventory is equal or less than 5, do not show product. This is just a really effective way to ensure that if your inventory numbers aren't always perfect, as they sometimes are, you can ensure they're not going in there. We can do a featured collection. If you have a new collection or a sale collection that you want to promote in there, then we can just drag and drop that in there. We can also do a featured product, which is a really effective way to highlight a new product that you're rolling out, or on the flip side, to highlight an old product that you want to clear out of the shelves to make a bit more space for other ones. Let's include a unique discount code. Before I go into these, I should mention, not all of our merchants discount. Some do, some don't. If you do discount, we want to make sure that it makes sense for your business. So we're able to put a whole bunch of rules around these discounts so they make sense to you. You can do a dollar amount, you can do a percentage, you can do free shipping, we can make it only applicable to certain collections, we can put an expiry date on it, so if you want to create a bit of urgency around it, we can do that. We can also set it up so it's only applicable to orders over $100 or whatever it needs to be to make sure that that discount makes sense for your margins. I already mentioned this, brands have been built on, social media. So let's pop in those social links there. I really like what some of our merchants have done where they include, some user-generated content across the bottom there, and then maybe put their specific hashtag in there, or email us a photo of you using our product and we'll feature you on our Instagram page. Really great way to tie in those products to your social streams. Navigation bar. I'm willing to bet the vast majority of you people listening to me ramble on have one at the top of your site. And the reason you do that is because it makes your site more shoppable. With this in your transactional emails, let's do exactly the same thing. I mentioned before that there were only 2 clickable links on the Shopify default notifications. By throwing in that navigation bar, we already have 4 clickable links there, plus the standard ones that come in there already. So you're just going to increase engagement. You're going to increase your click-throughs. So the way that we do all of this is with our Spently Builder. So I know that all of you Shopify store owners or businesses out there have spent hours, days, weeks, months, years obsessing over the look and feel and design of your site. Here at Spently, we have done the exact same thing with our builder. And we've made it really easy for you to set these up and get them into your store quickly and easily. So all you need to do is choose a template theme. We have themes to match a couple of the Out of the Sandbox guys themes, a couple of the Pixel Union ones, and we're going to be rolling out a whole bunch more in the upcoming months. Then all you need to do is just pick the colors. We've got some global settings in there. We really pride ourselves on our support, and we respond very quickly and make it easy to make all those changes for you. You want to personalize your customer experience to match your branding and your voice. I think Truman did an excellent job of bringing some humor into what could be a bland cleaning product, and they make it a heck of a lot more interesting. Let's take that exact same messaging and voice and put that into your transactional emails. And we do all of this with drag and drop marketing components that are just put in there to help you drive revenue and make sure they match your site. So how do we know that it's working? Well, if you're not using Spently, unfortunately, right now, you don't know that it's working. With Spently, we are able to iterate this with data. This is a huge blind spot in Shopify where you have no idea how any of these emails are performing. So, I mean, you couldn't imagine not knowing your open rate or your click-through rate on your newsletters. These emails that you're sending out every single day and have the highest engagement of any email you can possibly send a shopper, and you have no idea what's happening with them. So with Spently, what we do is we give you what kind of revenue we've generated with them, how many emails you've sent, what your total open rate is. I mean, the first question I always get asked is, why is my total open rate 195.46%? And it's just because people open these emails multiple times. Unique open rate, we see anywhere from like 60 to 90% open rate, and click rates, 44% and up is fairly standard. We also love to be transparent about all of this. So in terms of revenue generated, we pop the email address, the date, and the amount for the purchase from that person, from their order that they put through. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, good data makes good decisions. And if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So how can we take this one step further? How can we foster customer retention by using automated follow-up sequence and sort of bring you one step closer to turning your one-time shoppers into year-round customers? And obviously, again, the answer to that question is me and Spently. So part 2 of our software is the follow-up emails. For any of you MailChimp users out there, you might want to listen in on this part, because this is where we overlap with them a little bit. So we've built out 11 automated follow-ups. I'm just going to give a sort of high-level overview of what a few of them do. So abandoned checkout. This one's pretty obvious. Shopify does send out one automatically for you, or you can turn it off, but they've got a few different timed options for you. What we always recommend is, a 2 or 3-step abandoned checkout series or sequence or flow, whatever we want to call it, is by far and away the best way to ensure that you're catching some of that missed revenue. We can also ensure that it matches all of the other store notifications. So again, you have that continuous shopper journey. We see merchants using our abandoned checkouts emails instead of the Shopify one if they want to send it out at a later date, let's say 7 days. This works really well if you sell sort of high price tag items, or you're have a sort of very exclusive clientele who you don't want to be hitting them with a whole bunch of emails, because it's maybe not necessarily a sort of impulse or transactional quick buy. Customer win back. This one is key and huge. So what we do with this guy and what we recommend to everybody is send these emails out at like 60 days, 120 days, 240, 360, or some sort of variation in between there. And then I really like including a sort of like laddering discount offer, where maybe you start off without offering anything and maybe just showing some of your new products to entice them back to the shop. If they make it to that 120-day email, then maybe we offer them a discount. And quite often it's a little bit easier to offer a discount on a customer win-back series because you've already had that cost per acquisition through your Facebook ad or through a Google AdWords or whatever way you're filling up the top of the funnel. Now, these two are some of my favorites and some of the best way to sort of get specific about things. Purchase from a specific collection is a great way to loop people into like instruction manuals or FAQs, or to show other complementary products to a product that they've purchased. We see these perform best if you send them out a few weeks after delivery. Specific product purchase is a really great one too. So you can send out those instruction manuals or FAQs or videos on how to put it together or use it or whatever it may be. But my favorite example is the guys at Stash Tea. So we did a case study with them as well a little while ago. They've been using Spently for quite a while now. And what they did is they have a free sample of their loose leaf tea that you can add to purchase. And what they really wanted to do was figure out how they could take giving away this free product and turn it into a purchase. So what we did is 2 weeks afterwards, they send out a follow-up email that says, you know, hey, Bob, it's been a while. I hope you really like that loose leaf tea sample you sent you. We're so confident that you enjoyed it that here's 15% off. And so with Stash Tea, we were able to increase their sales by 5% through their store notifications or transactional emails, and then another 5% through these follow-up emails. So they're just a really effective way to get in touch with shoppers who have already purchased from you. And don't get me wrong, filling up the top of the funnel is absolutely key. And I am not saying to stop doing any of that, because you know there is no sort of one silver bullet that's going to do everything for you. But let's take advantage of these people who have purchased from you previously, and let's get them back into your shop. So cherry on top with that is we can sync your past purchases as well. So that way, if you start up that win-back series, we can start hitting up everybody who purchased from you 60 days ago, 120 days ago, 240 days ago, and start sending out those emails now. So you're not really missing out too much on that, and it's just an incredibly effective way to take advantage of people who have already liked your brand. Finally, in exactly the same way we do with the store notifications, you gotta get granular, monitor attribution based on unique links, along with individual stats for each follow-up email. So again, we give you emails sent, revenue generated, total open rate, unique open rate, click rate, just all the information you really need to make informed business decisions. So I kind of feel like this slide is hopefully redundant at this point, and it should say, why haven't you chosen Spently yet? But basically, thousands of merchants on Shopify have chosen Spently. They tell us it's working. You're already sending out all of these emails. Chances are you don't want them to look the same as the other 795,000 other Shopify stores out there. I say 795,000 because we power about 5,000 odd stores. In the last 6 months, we drove $100 million in repeat sales. And if it's working for a boatload of merchants out there, it will work for you too, because these emails work. They have way higher engagement than any other email you can possibly send. So yeah, that's my super rapid fire spiel on Spently and how to help with your transactional emails. Again, my name is Roddy Smith from Spently. If you want to reach out to me and have any questions or concerns, it's just roddy@spentlyhq.com. And you can't spell presentation without present. So I have a little present for all you wonderful people out there. If you would like 30 days free of Spently on any of our paid plans, please email me, Roddy, R-O-D-D-Y, @spentlyhq.com, or check us out in the Shopify App Store, because I would love to help you. I love helping people harness this super juicy, low-hanging fruit. So I'll flip it back to you, Derek. Thank you so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Roddy. And yeah, I was saying in chat, I said, do you guys, you see it? You seeing what's going on? It's like money left on the table. If we haven't modified our notification emails, then we are, it's first, it was a very clearly a generic brand email. I think when you put that slide up, there was like a jaw drop effect, right? Like everyone was like, uh-oh, that's what my emails look like. And like you said, we're spending so much time on our site design. We forgot those are going out because they're hidden. They're hidden back there in the back end of Shopify. If you guys have never modified this, if you have a Shopify store, you go to what it's like settings, notifications, and then there's a little section for the email notifications, and you can change them individually. So if you yeah, and that, so that's like, it's kind of annoying because you're not getting any detailed like stats, data reporting on those emails. And so, yeah, just being able to track those emails, I think is really huge. And like a personal story, I was director of growth at BoxyCharm, and we added on the order shipping notification email, we didn't use Spently, but we just manually added an image at the bottom of this email. And it said, it just said, refer a friend and you'll get an extra product in your box and they'll get an extra product in their box. So all of a sudden you've got people forwarding this email to their friends are clicking on the link. We can track that all the way back through to the person who originally sent it to them. And then we make these manual order updates. Sadly, on the back end, the logistics of it were a nightmare. We had to do 6,000 because it worked so well. We had 6,000 referrals. So that's actually 12,000 products in total. And so we had to send these products out and had to modify orders line by line in a way. But thankfully, we had a great operations team that helped with that. But so just to give you an idea of how powerful that could be, you know, like a percentage of your customers referring other people, all because you just added something to the bottom of that order notification email.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a drag and drop referral component where you can share it via Facebook, via Twitter, or via email. And so it takes a bit of that legwork out of it for you. And it's just, you're sending these out already. Why not make them match your website, drive revenue, and know how they're doing? That's really, like, I probably could have summarized this entire little spiel into 3 points. Make them match your site, drive revenue, data. Well, that's it.
I think diving into the tactics and the opportunities inside is really important, because when we think about, you know, it's like, what should we cross-sell? What should we upsell? What offers should we put in there? How do we decide, you know, what can be, what should be displayed, and then how to test those things, which is a basic, you know, conversion rate optimization or email marketer's job, I would say. So it's just one of those things. You got to find the time for it. There's no reason, there's no excuse to not get it set up one time so that you're at least in some form of reasonably, you know, optimal branded and kind of common sense optimization. But then the sky's the limit as far as figuring out which products relate to which products, like upsell offers, and I look forward to the future of Spently, which I think is in segmentation and personalization.
Exactly. Yes, that is on our roadmap, and I'm sure our devs' ears, who are just over there, are probably hearing me say that. And I can't give any timeframes or dates or anything, but yes, that is where we are going. But yeah, these emails, you mentioned that you can change them up regularly. I'd say a good chunk of our users, at the risk of sounding like a cheesy infomercial, are very much set it and forget it. But the users who see like the best return from them are in there and making sure that, you know, their hero banner on their homepage is featured in the transactional email as well. And those are the ones who really sort of see the best return from it and are able to generate the crazy amounts of revenue that we generate for merchants all over the world.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you so much, Roddy. We've got just a few minutes of in-between time. So we go into the next session. So I'll use this time to remind you of all of our amazing sponsors, including Spently. Thank you again very much, Roddy, but also our two main sponsors, Gorgeous and Simpler, who we saw earlier this morning. Gorgeous, the help desk for Shopify stores, so that when those notification emails get a response, your customer support team is ready to respond to those inquiries and help the customer with what they need. And Simpler, the actual outsourced customer service fulfillment, US-based reps combined with artificial intelligence to give you reliable and fast responses on your customer service. Like I said this morning, there is no excuse why your store can't have stellar customer service today. These two tools combined make it easier than ever. And that's kind of the theme of scaling, right? We want the tools and partners in place that are going to get us from that 1 million mark to the $100 million mark. And most importantly, you might be feeling like this right now, is maintaining our margin as we grow, because there's so many times where you grew by an extra 100,000 and you lost $10,000 on it. Isn't that one of the most frustrating things that can happen to you? It feels like you made more money, but really you just did more work and made less money. Oh my goodness, right?